If you've been following the channel, you know that we've been doing a series on what if Elden Ring bosses were Pokemon, all to follow the latest Elden Ring expansion, Shadow of the Erdtree. So if you haven't played the game, maybe don't watch the video, but do come back after you've played the game. With that, let's go ahead and hop into it. Let me introduce you to the latest in my Sleep Paralysis Demon catalog. This is Divine Beast Dancing Lion. It is terrifying, as it's meant to be. It's an Elden Ring boss after all. It's meant to be gruesome and terrifying. So how do we go about turning this monstrosity into a Pokemon? Well, I wanted to look at the inspiration behind this creature as a whole. It's inspired by Chinese dancing dragons, these funny little fellas here. They're usually several people in a long line in one costume, made to signify the Chinese New Year or other celebrations. They're actually really cool. And I thought, how do I take this and apply this to that? And it took a little bit of time. Actually, this drawing is the second iteration of this mashup of this character, this Pokemon. The first one I ended up not posting because I actually went through the whole process of drawing it, actually getting the video made, getting everything done, thumbnails, ending images, all that, and decided I am really not happy with this design. So this is the one that I ended up going with, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think it captures a lot of the inspiration that I was going for, as well as some of the lore, not just of the character, but also of its inspiration in Chinese dancing lions. And I also wanted to throw in some foo dog. If you don't know what a foo dog is, if you've ever been to a Chinese restaurant that has one of those large statues of a lion or a dog or some creature on the front, that's usually a foo dog. And I wanted to incorporate that in. I thought incorporating in that stony texture would really give a new meaning to the grays and the greens that are all throughout the design for the Divine Beast. You know, in that design, it was more grotesque, more flesh and dead skin style coloring. With this, I thought I could keep the coloring by bringing in this added information that still coincides with the previous iteration of its inspiration. That's a tongue twister, but it really made the design, I think, make a little bit more sense. So along those lines, there were a couple things that I knew I had to include. I knew that this had to be an electric type. If you know anything about the character in-game, then you know this has to be an electric type. I wanted to include also that stone type texture brought in by the foo dogs, as I said before, so I knew it was going to be electric ground, which makes it insanely powerful. So electric ground was going to be, that was the base that I knew I was going for. A stony exterior and an electric vibe given the lore of what it's being drawn upon. I also knew that given that this was a dancing lion, and given the character of the Divine Beast, I wanted to bring in almost this Mimikyu-like vibe to it. That this, what you're seeing, this formidable face, isn't the true Pokemon. So if you look when I show the head here, you can see that I wanted to make the mouth really big and gaping, and the teeth actually are connected. So the mouth itself doesn't actually close, it's used to see. The eyes are blackened, and you'll see that when I get to coloring it, they're hollow, and it gives this energy of the Pokemon that you see isn't the actual Pokemon. The Pokemon that you are assuming is this shape and this body may not truly be it. I thought of Pokemon like Mimikyu, like Phalanx, like Tangela, Pokemon who have that same energy to them. Obviously, we also have the huge mystery of what Diglett looks like underneath the rubble. That's a fun one. If you want to know the answer to that, I actually have a video going over that for our Mutant Menagerie spot with Lava Tyrant. So that one, that question does get answered. But as far as the rest of this, I ended up being really happy with a lot of the color choices and a lot of the design elements. Like I said, that whole concept of this Pokemon may not be the Pokemon you think it is something that it's a venue that I love when Pokemon does. And I was really happy that I got to have an excuse to take part in that motif. I also wanted to include some more fake outs throughout. So you can see I made the nose pink. It kind of, without the color, it's almost hidden. It makes you believe that it has this curled up dragon snout, but instead I used that as the muzzle of this lion-like face. The big shape of the head I wanted to kind of emulate a lion's mane, while not being specifically a huge mane of hair. We have a ton of lions in Pokemon already. By that I mean we have, I think, 2, maybe 3, and it's not a lot, but it's more than you'd think there would be. so I wanted to do something different. I also included it having 6 legs as a reference to not just the character in Elden Ring, but also as a reference to the lore of the actual inspiration itself. Usually, like I said, it's multiple people within one costume, giving the dragon its length, but having the added benefit of giving it multiple legs. So I did that, and I think it works out really well. I think it brings in a new level of fantasy to the design while still allowing it to be reminiscent of the Elden Ring character, whose name I'm gonna be honest with, I keep forgetting. It's a lot of words, it's a lot of letters, they feel like they could go in any order, and I'm gonna get it wrong. So to cover my bases, I keep just saying the character. But yeah, there are some cool aspects in here. I know I've had a ton of people really requesting to see this character. Pretty much since I started doing this series of Elden Ring bosses as Pokemon, I've had people calling out for this Pokemon specifically, wanting to see this design and what could be done with it. I hope that I did you proud. I know it may not be the direction that a lot of people were anticipating, but I hope that it still feels right. This one really challenged me on what could be a Pokemon based on this design process. Shifu, the dancing beast Pokemon. While its true face remains unknown, this Pokemon still poses an immense threat. Its rhythmic movements can often be seen as a form of dance, either to lure in its prey or to ward off unwanted adversaries. Regardless of the reason, those who have been lucky enough to capture a glimpse of Shifu have taken note both of its ferocity and of its beauty. With the name, I wanted to combine a couple things. One is Fu, meaning lion dog, and the other is Shi, a shortened form of Shou, meaning beast in Chinese. Both are references to the Chinese language. Shifu also translates to skilled master or teacher in its own word. So this is actually 3 names combined into one, with the first 2 meaning the third. I don't know, it seemed kind of serendipitous. It seemed like it worked, and it's something that I really liked. So let me know what you think. If you want to see the original design that I did for this Pokemon, head on over to the Patreon. I post a lot of videos there and a lot of behind the scenes stuff, full videos without commentary, things like that. But this will be the first full video that would be on YouTube had I not come up with a better design in the end anyway. So that'll be over there. You can find all the links down below. Each link has a different purpose. Twitter I use mainly to keep up with kind of what I'm working on. YouTube is the final project video. Instagram is where the images go. You know how all that social media stuff works. So head on over, give me a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and you know where to find me. Thank you. Bye.